Welcome to another episode of Pear Tree Ranchin. This is going to be part of our problem horse series. We have Cisco. He's the rearing and flipping over horse. We're finally getting started on this horse. This is going to be the first episode, and we're going to take you through the process so you can follow along and see how would I check out a horse that has problems. How am I going to break down these problems? How are we going to start solving this puzzle and helping this horse get back on track and then get handed over to their owner? So follow along. Okay, so let's talk about how did this horse get here. Owner contacted me a few months back asking for help, saying could we do an evaluation? Is this something that's fixable? And did I have room for the horse to come into training? And the answer was, it depends. It has a high probability of being something that's fixable. It's a matter of time and energy. And usually it's my time for somebody else's energy, aka money. Kind of how that works. And at the time we were very busy. We were getting ready to do a course, and good buddy Ryan Rose was available to do the evaluation and wanted to do that for his YouTube channel. So if you're here because you watched that video, awesome, thanks for being here. Make sure you get subscribed to Pear Tree Ranch. If you haven't seen that video, when you're done watching this video, there will be a link in the description for you. Horse came. It was a pretty good session. Kept it easy, poked around, not too hard to blow the horse up, but enough to find where's the hiccup, what's the problem. And really it kind of came down to seeming like the horse is a bit misunderstood. The horse is a bit introverted, and so instead of telling us when it's bothered, it holds all the tension inside and then it finally explodes. And this is apparent by how he's been since he's been here, just a couple of days. I like horses to settle in. We've had some loose stool, things like that. The horse is here tied on the pole. The round pen, it just rained. I went inside to cool off. I'd already worked a bunch of horses this morning, and it was smoking hot in June in Florida. So to get cooled down and rehydrated and then come back out, the rain, good thing, but the round pen is a bit soupy. So I just worked that to see if I could get it ready for us. Probably not, still a bit soupy. It'll be good for tomorrow. And then with him tied here, we can see how much he's moving around and has a hard time with stand still. So we're gonna have to be working on getting this horse comfortable and confident in his own skin in this space. So now I've kind of heard where did it come from, and we're here now. Where I'm gonna start is I gotta make friends first. If you haven't gone through the Pear Tree Ranch playlist for theory videos, please, after you're done with this video, go watch those. It's gonna help you understand some of the stuff that I'll talk about and share. The short version is horses have 5 body parts: nose, neck, shoulder, ribs, and hip. Those body parts need to go in 8 directions: stand still, forwards, backwards, right, left, up, down, and stand still. At a walk, a trot, a canter, a gallop, and backwards. And if they're gated, well, that's a whole nother conversation. We're gonna train in the process of getting those 5 body parts to go in those 8 directions at those 5 different speeds. 4 areas: confidence, yielding, patterns, and purpose. And that's where we're going to start. Confidence, making friends with this horse so he knows I'm somebody he can trust and look to for help. And then we'll also in the process look to teach him we can control him. That's about yielding, teach him to understand steady pressure and energy as pressure, usually transmitted through a stick. And as we go through that process, I got a checklist of a bare minimum amount of groundwork I want to see a horse be able to do before I'll saddle it. And that just keeps me safe. So all of this helps set the table for let's go start scratching on this horse, loving on this horse, getting his attention, seeing how does he handle some confidence tools, and can we start some basic yielding. Day 1, here we go. So we ran that brush over that horse. He didn't love it or hate it so far. He just kind of seemed indifferent, and that's just fine with me. And then you maybe saw me there doing some massaging on his neck. I'm going to show you those spots. 4 finger lengths behind the ears, there's these little divots that a horse has in their muscling. And they're points on what's called the bladder meridian, and it's a kind of highway for energy to flow along the horse's body. If you've studied red light therapy, acupressure. Hey, big guy. 4 finger lengths behind the ear, there's a little divot right there that I can get my thumb in. There's one on either side. And so when I kind of get my fingers in here, he starts thinking about head down. Now the rope is just short enough that he can't put it down a lot, so I'm not going to push the issue because he's going to run into that lead rope. That wouldn't be fair. But I could feel the tension, and so if I can just kind of squeeze and massage on this so that he gets used to me putting some pressure on him and getting a hold of him there, this is a way that he can start to see how I'm not so scary, and it can start to feel good to him. And so I'll just massage on that neck, that pull back, that right there, that turns into flip over. And so we got to recognize what causes horses to flip over. They're claustrophobic, and if they can't go forward or backwards, right or left, up and down is what's left. And usually when we're putting him into motion, right, stand still, we've taken that away as well. So the better I can get at having him not feel trapped where he has to push against any of that pressure, that he just goes with the flow and relaxes and knows stand still is a fine option, the better we're going to get and the safer we're going to stay. I'm going to take him out in the arena. That footing, it's a little bit higher than the round pen, and so it usually is ready to go sooner. And we're going to take our flag out there and start rubbing him with that flag and see if we can't find any sticky spots, and start looking at maybe teaching him a little bit of confidence and then yielding about putting his head down. Okay, so what we started with was rubbing first. Can we rub him with the flag? Can we make sure he's not afraid of the flag and he's not in a hurry to go anywhere? So next I'm going to start with head down at a standstill, even under duress. That's going to be the first thing on my bare minimum list of groundwork. And one of the ways I create duress, perceived pressure, is shushing that flag around. Shushing, it's a technical term. That starts to, from shushing, turn into tapping on the nose. And when I'm tapping on the nose, make sure you notice that my hand on the halter, here he goes, be a good boy. My hand on the rope, which leads to the halter, it has a downwards feel to it. So it's giving him the answer the whole time if he just followed that feel and the weight of that snap and lead rope on the halter, which eventually turns into the weight of the reins. If he's following the weight of the reins and he's putting his head down, he's not flipping over. And so when he is flipping over, he's losing his marbles. He's getting scared. He's getting bothered. He's going to a behavior he thinks is going to save him. And so by putting his head down, all the marbles are rolling back into his noggin. And all the blood runs to his brain, and his brain can grow bigger versus going to that instinctual side of, oh crap, save yourself. We can start to train this head down to become a reaction, a positive reaction, a positive flinch, where the horse's flinch makes a healthy behavior. Think of if you try to sneak up on Bruce Lee, he's going to have some positive kung fu to block your moves or your attack. And so instead of a horse blocking our perceived pressure or attack by getting defensive, throwing their head in the air, flipping over, striking, kicking, they learn to do the opposite. This is not pressure, just relax and focus. And they then realize that's a better way to get themselves out of pressure, to get themselves comfortable. When they put their head down and relax, it's putting the head down is like when they put their head down to eat. So it has the potential to encourage relaxation. So this is why this is a big thing. And usually if a horse will allow me to rub them and shush that flag around, I'm gonna go to this first. If a horse is so scared to running around and not even standing still by me just having the flag or being around him, you can't start with this, okay? There's other things we need to start with. Getting that standstill, getting where we can rub them all over. But if I can rub and start shushing that around and they're not trying to leave the planet, I can start tapping that nose, teaching that to mean head down. This is going to be a building block for a lot. So now any kind of pressure means prepare to position, relax, and put your head down, shape up so we can do a positive, healthy behavior. And that's going to help us for all of our training. Head down behavior is then a great place to start and a great way to finish this first session with some simple grooming, get comfortable out here in the environment, and learn a healthy behavior. So now that we've kind of finished up our training, we're going to continue to make friends with this horse so he feels good about being here. So just a little bit of hand grazing, me hanging out with him, is a simple way to do that as I walk from the arena to the wash rack, where I want to give him a bath. He's got some loose stool like we talked about, that cleans him up. It's hot out here. It's going to feel good. And then when I put him back in his stall under the fan, it's going to feel great. It's about dinner time for the horses here at the ranch. So it's going to be a great way for him to go, this is a good deal. I didn't have to do that much. Now, let's quick talk about the difference between what we maybe saw in the videos with Ryan doing the assessment and evaluation. He went in that first session all the way to sitting and riding on this horse. That doesn't mean that there's better or worse ways of doing it. This is just now training. We've seen the evaluation. We know what's possible and what's in there. And now I'm going to deep dive into some skills that I want this horse to have and work on training those. For me, if I quit sooner rather than later, that's going to help those behaviors get stronger. I'm playing the long game versus just see what's in there and what can we get done safely, which is for me an evaluation. And this now is, let's come back here, tighten up some of the confidence in yielding things, so when I move forward, I'm going to be able to do that much more when I get to the riding. So that's, again, the long game that we're setting up here to play versus just evaluate what is the problem, where can we find that, and we found that with the introversion. If you saw through the process of him learning head down, he was very tight-lipped, Okay, when he finally started putting that head down, mouth relaxed, he licked and chewed, he'd get steary-eyed, and then he'd come back. See, now he's blowing out. And so by me showing him that I hear him and understand that, he's gonna give me more and more. We'll build that connection, and then I can work on all the different positions I want to work him from. Like maybe a nice walk, trot, canter, under saddle, relax with his head down without worrying about him throwing himself over backwards on top of me. So that's a little bit of things we can do to finish up a session and making sure that we understand the difference in what kind of sessions are we trying to do. Okay, well, there's a great first session. I'm pleased with the start. Again, we're mostly trying to feel them out, figure out where we are. I want you to see how little we could do to keep it simple with teaching him how to relax under perceived duress. He's not really under any pressure. That flag isn't going to hurt him. It's a soft rag, okay? It's a piece of cloth. But it can get a horse bothered enough that they want to change, and when they realize that the change is the opposite of what they think, it's head down and relax. Helps us a long way. If you like what we're doing, hit that like button. If you want to get subscribed so you don't miss any of our problem horse series, our Pear Tree Ranchin vlogs, or some of our Patreon previews that we share, make sure you click here. And if you want to see the next video or another video, click here. I'm Jake. This has been another episode of Pear Tree Ranchin.